The button has in fact been pressed, so it should.
That's how I got
Oh
my
god, not the button.
Rhino dance.
I'm glad that you talked over each other when Alex said that. But yes, we're back and we're ready to play the game. We're already set up on the screen, so if you guys want to click your characters, and we'll do the roles for questions. You will see I have put in the handouts the rules for Light Reprieve and the rule for Destiny Points again. We've set those up for Iron Blood. And now the rules for them are in here as well, so that we're good to use them for both games.
Do you want us to roll 2d8 then as well?
Not yet, because I haven't indicated that in the other game yet. But I am gonna say that I want you to all start off with a Destiny point based on the events that have happened previously. So everyone have one Destiny point for everything that's going on.
Okay.
There we go. I has a 1 destiny points.
Good.
Okay, Tara, you want to roll initiative?
I have 3 destiny points.
Well,
How dare you?
No. That's not how many you have. You have 1. Okay then. So let me do descending. So there we go. It's Jesus, Tyra, you roll really high when it comes to this. I've noticed.
I do.
But it is you first, so you may ask a question of anyone in the group.
17. How has being able to taste changed your perception on life?
Good.
That's a good question.
That's a fucking strong start. Jesus, I wasn't prepared for that.
I actually wasn't prepared for that either.
That's a fucking strong start.
Like, no one ever asks me questions, except Alex.
Hello. I try to cycle through people.
True.
Actually made them curious to try other things because I guess much like you, the person, 17 only knows how things taste because of how they're described. So they're curious to actually know what they taste like. So they actually want to go about actually trying them for the first time. So there could very well be a moment in which y'all could walk into the mess hall and just see a bunch of replicated food just covering all the tables.
Yeah, just all laid out, and you're just trying them all.
Yeah. Like, I could easily see something like that happening.
That's good. That's good. Like, I can't wait for that. But as we have been doing, once a question has been asked, I as the DM choose to ask a question of the player. So obviously we know that Toxx is going for a little bit at the moment. There's been a hint. She doesn't know fully yet, but there has been a hint that someone who maybe had been in league with the individual who owned her originally is in town. I'm not going to ask anything related to that because I think we're going to find out quite quickly what's going to go on with that based on what happened at the very end last time. But I did have a question in relation to trying to deal with some of the slavers that you're running across all of a sudden. Toxx obviously guns for slavers. I don't know why I was going to say slayers for a second. Toxx obviously guns for slavers because of her past, and is seemingly prepared to go to even illegal lengths to get rid of them. What do you think Toxx would do if Toxx was demonstrated with a position where she realized that the slavers were in such a high up capacity on the food chain that there was absolutely no way to take them down? What would she do? Like, faced with a situation where there's no way for her to get rid of this slaver, what would she do?
Assuming all options have been exhausted and there truly is absolutely no way, she would probably she would hate it, but she would give up on that particular kill in order to live another day to get a different kill that would perhaps help in a way that would be more impactful. Going after somebody that is untouchable essentially is not like she hates to admit when somebody is untouchable, but she is willing to do that if she has very thoroughly exhausted her options. So she would back down, live to fight another day, and then hopefully find a way in the future to make this untouchable individual less protected.
Okay, interesting. So she would play the long game, essentially. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Alex, it is your turn
Hello.
to ask a question.
I've got a question for Taki.
For Taki, okay. Ask your question and I will answer in a manner related to Taki and Taki's storyline.
So, given what part of what happened last session, Taki seems to be very, very much in the know with Ector and the happenings of Ector.
Yeah.
One could imply and could do some slight reading comprehension skills that one may or may not have picked up in the second or third grade to figure out that she's probably known him for a while.
Yes.
Now, is she more like a platonic childhood friend sort of deal, or is there something more for Taki towards Ector specifically?
I don't think that with Taki specifically, I think maybe, and this will come out in the story, but I'm happy to tell you, I think maybe at some point there was a spark of something between the two of them, but I think maybe they looked at the position they were in, maybe they looked at the lives that they both lead, and I think maybe both of them were adult enough to say that this can't go this way. Maybe they both feel a little bad about that inside, but they're both adult enough and care about the other enough to understand that it's not something that they can have.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's that. The Taki is a fully fleshed out character. She's got her own stuff going on. Interactions with her are totally possible if they're viable, and you can ask her things like that yourself if you like in character if you wish. But that being said, obviously, for my question for you, Freyr's got a lot on his plate all of a sudden. He's been vaguely threatened by both Raymond and Dominic, in the sense of Dominic mentioning that there is someone in town who's looking for a slave that got away that just so happens to be, almost a match for a companion of yours. And our good old friend Raymond is very heavily leaning on you because he wants you in his fold, and you kind of aren't willing to do that. If it came down, who would you say you're more likely to kill? If it came down to you have to kill one of them, who would you choose more? So, because on the one hand, you've got Raymond, who's a scumbag, and has lent on you, and has obviously made some weird kind of gestures towards Toxx. But then on the other hand, Dominic is the one that claims to have some kind of no in relation to someone that maybe has something to do with Toxx's slavery. You had to kill one of them. Who would you rather kill?
So this is actually this is we're gonna get a deep dive into the mind of Freyr.
Okay, let's go. Let's go into the bear's mind.
In the mind of Freyr, the more dangerous predator here is Dominic. In Freyr's mind, because Dominic does have actual legal backings behind this, and while while Raymond has all of the people in his pocket, he still can't fuck with Dominic.
Yeah.
If he tries to step to Dominic has more people in his pocket, is essentially what it is. So Freyr looks at Dominic as the larger, the more apex predator between the two of them, the bigger fish, if you would. He thinks Dominic is more dangerous, but that is not the one he would kill at first.
Oh.
He would 100%, he would relish and actually enjoy killing Raymond because he still has his bare instincts, and Freyr has imprinted on Toxx.
Mm-hmm.
Toxx is his everything.
Yeah.
And he has tried to put hands on Toxx multiple times, and as Toxx has gotten to the point of shutting down emotionally and mentally around Raymond, one too many times for Freyr. It's only happened once around Freyr, but that's one too many times.
That's one too many times.
Yeah. He would probably relish stringing Raymond's corpse up on his own house.
Yeah, 100%.
And making it very tribalistic, a show of dominance. He also knows that while Dominic is a bigger threat and does need to be killed and dealt with at some point or another, Dominic is still also a businessman, which means it's not necessarily that he can't. It's not that he can bend Dominic to his will, but it's more likely that he can form a kind of deal with Dominic.
You can work with a businessman.
Yeah. He might not like the deal he gets, but there's still a deal of, I'll kill this fucking guy if it just means doing an odd job for you here or there and getting talked off the table. I'll do that. I'll fucking do that for you if that's what it takes. He might not like it, but he would work with Dominic and agrees that both need to be dealt with and probably killed at some point, but he is less likely to kill Dominic. And if he does kill Dominic, it's probably going to be a back alley killing. It's not going to be a big show. It's not going to be a big thing. He would make it a main event WWE WrestleMania event, stringing Raymond's corpse up live on television. That's what he would do.
Raymond would be the show, and Dominic would be you do it in a back alley like a mugging gone wrong.
Yeah, basically. But he would kill Raymond 10 times over before he kills Dominic.
Okay, interesting. Okay, now we go on to last, but certainly most not least, to Kara with 17. So ask a question and be prepared to ask a question. Be answered.
Okay, feel free to not go into too much detail if there are storyline elements that can be played out, but this is a question for Taki also.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Taki's popular. I'm glad.
Well,
Taki night.
So Taki is a Forgeborn, correct?
100% Taki is a Forgeborn.
How did Taki feel about Ironforge gaining sentience and their own freedom?
So I'm gonna just say 2 words for this, and then leave the rest of that up to interpretation. Because if I say these 2 words, some people will think one thing, some people will think another thing. But there's 2 words that sum it up, and I will say no more. And those words are white guilt. I'm just gonna leave it that, and then you can make your own mind up about what that means and how that links into her character. But with the best non-spoiler version of summing up Taki's feelings towards the Ironforged, the Forgeborn is white guilt. But that does lead to me asking you a question, and this is to do with something that you may remember, you may not remember, but a while ago you kind of got a bit of an offer from one of the red masked individuals. How are you feeling about that since what has happened? Obviously you've had a bit of things happen to you and to those around you. What are your current feelings towards that little bit of an offer that you were handed by the Red Mask?
Currently, 17 is still on the fence about that.
Mm-hmm.
There have been no events that I can think of off the top of my head recently that that you and I have discussed that
Yeah.
17 would be making note of
Yeah.
that would be pushing them one way or the other.
Oh.
So that's what's still keeping them on the fence at the moment because of the simple fact that they're not noticing the things that they were noticing before, so that could be uh, swaying them one way or the other. But they definitely have not forgotten about that.
Ah, I see. It's been a bit of a rebalancing of the scales almost. Okay, okay. Well, I would check in on that because I remember there was a time previously where you and me had a bit of a conversation in private, and I was let into the mindset of 17 for a little bit, and it felt like at that point, and I won't say what way, but it was swaying one way for sure, a little bit more. But it's good to have an update on that. But that being said, everyone has asked the questions. Everyone has been asked a question, so we will continue. We will just do a light little explanation of what happened last time. You did finally leave the Queen's little abode, is the words I'm probably looking for. And when you did, you were immediately met with Dominic that kind of tried to make a bit of an offer towards good old Freyr, and when he kind of seemed to not get the answer that he wanted, I'll say, he let slip that there may be an individual who is looking for a rift elf that happened to kill their slave master some time ago, and that this was a business partner or perhaps the person above this slave master that was killed, and they were looking for specifically a rift elf in this area because they had heard word that they were about in this place, and by applying that a little bit of pressure towards Freyr, he seemed to get a little bit more of what he wanted. He didn't get exactly what he wanted, he didn't get you fully in his pocket, but he seems to be swaying a little bit more than before. 17 actually did take some time to specifically speak to Toxx to see how they were doing after some things, and to point out that they definitely don't agree with what the Queen did, that trying to get someone to tell their secrets, to try to build trust but forcibly, is not the way to build any kind of trust, and just makes things worse. We then had a bit where Raymond kind of got involved with you guys again, having noticed Toxx walking by to regroup with you all, and Raymond himself applied a little bit of pressure after things didn't seem to be going his way. His version of pressure was saying that it's a bit strange to run into a polar bear Usarian in the city, especially after, he knows that they're kind of a bit rarer. They're not super rare, they're not endangered or extinct or anything, but they are harder to find Usarian, and that he knows a story about one that may have disappeared under suspicious circumstances when guarding a slave master of their own, and that slave master happened to die, and that they were companions. It is hard to find good bears in the city these days. God. Heathens, you're all heathens. And so there was a little bit of pressure there, and Freya, which I misinterpreted at the beginning, kind of tried to say that Freya was the one that killed this bear that had seemingly went on the run. But maybe that's not how Raymond interpreted those words, because that's not how, at the point, I interpreted those words. So Raymond's a bit suspicious of you. But
Yep.
you then left, you went back to your barracks, and almost suspiciously, Knight Sergeant Siegfried, the commander of the essential kind of black ops units in your territory, has sequestered two of your individuals, Elena and Flipnork, to be taken to another unit which is in need of more assistance, and kind of got called out a little bit by Ezekiel, who was saying, hey, you can't do that, these are my team, how can we, work this case that's connected to the war, and we are the people who were there when this war essentially started, because we were essentially ground zero. You can't pull apart the team like that. And Hector kind of got put in his place by being reminded that Hector is here kind of as a punishment, and that there are individuals that wanted to maybe exhume Hector completely from the military and not just send him here for his failures to kill an individual that he knew who turned traitor. Eventually Siegfried left, and now you all kind of had a bit of a conversation. Taki was informed that 17 can now taste, and in amazement kind of spirited 17 away to run some tests to see exactly why it is they may suddenly be able to taste, and to get rid of their fragmentation glitch at the same time, because they both essentially require a complete restart of 17's arcane core. At this point, Hector noticed there was a little bit of tension between Freyr and Toxx, and perhaps one needed to say something to the other, and so he excused himself. So we're going to pick up right there, we're going to pop back to the barracks, but what I am going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask 17 to roll me initiative, and then either Alex or Tara, one of you roll initiative, just because these are two very role-play heavy discussions that are about to go down. Jesus. Role-play heavy discussions that are about to go down, and I want to kind of go back and forth from one to the other for a little bit, just so that everyone gets a bit of time. I mean, Kara did fucking roll a 20, so...
Yeah. I actually think, regardless of the point, I think I was going to roll that one, because I think Freyr was going to be more of the initiative taker in this conversation.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. If you're the initiative taker, go ahead. I am going to preface by saying this is probably going to be a bit more of a heavy roleplay session. There's a tiny chance you might get to some combat, but it's more likely a main roleplay session. I know you guys like those, and that's not a problem, but I'd just like to let you know to get in that mindset. So yeah, Freya, if you're going to lead the conversation, I would say that was fucking close.
Yeah.
That was surprisingly closer than it should have been. But I am sad to say that, well, not sad to say, but sadly, a 25 with a crit does beat a 21. So we will start with Taki talking to 17 and what happens in regards to that. So I'll even change to Taki's logo so that we can talk about her character. So, Kara, 17 has been taken in to the med bay / repair bay, I'm going to call it now. And as you get in there, Taki gestures towards the repair station over there. Do what you will.
1 second.
Okay. That was bad timing. Bad timing to get a crit.
So have you heard any good N-words recently?
Whoa! That's I'm nipping that in the butt right now. I'm not having the phrase white guilt and that in the same episode. Jesus.
I'm quite a fan of the word Norway.
Norway's a really good one.
Pretty great country. Nice people from there.
I like Nads, nasty ass dangling sack.
You know what's really cringy while we're on this topic before we let Kara return? There was like for some reason like some shit YouTubers come up in my related, and there was one, and it was like, we say N-words, and I'm like, what is this? This is cringy. And like I stupidly clicked the video, and it's them just saying different N-words from the dictionary, getting closer and closer to that N-word, and I'm like, this is fucking cringe. And it takes a lot for me to cringe at stuff, but that was cringe.
I'm the opposite. I cringe at everything. I cringe at myself. Constantly.
Naughty tortoise.
Because I'm
Good saying. You use that more often.
Why are you saying
Naughty.
that?
Naughty tortoise.
Naughty tortoise.
Naughty tortoise with a naughty tortoise.
You're not playing O'Hare right now. This is not time for the naughtiness. That's Wednesday. Wednesday's the naughtiness. Tonight's the berryness.
Save the kinkiness for Wednesday.
Or he's not even that kinky.
He's not, but we just made him suddenly at this. We made him the meme. You're so submissive and breedable. That's what we did. We made him that meme, and we didn't even. He's not even done anything to deserve it, really. He got on his knees once, and we made him that meme. But Kara, you have returned. Thank you.
Yeah. It's like right as soon as we started, I had gotten interrupted. So.
No, that's fine. It happens. We know that stuff happens, and people get pulled away. But to go back to what's happening, so Taki has gestured for you to go towards the kind of the repair bay over there. Do as you will.
As I'm moving over to the repair bay, I will ask her how the progress on the arm has gone.
Oh, the arm's already done. Like, it actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Like I said, some of your parts are very specifically designed, and it led to it being easier to hide a weapon and make a weapon retractable in a part of you than it would of a different type of model. Let's say that for now. But I can reattach that to you probably while we're going through this. So I'm going to ask you a few questions just so I can try to gauge some understanding of what's happened to you, and for you to be prepared for basically a system reboot of your soul. It's not going to be pleasant, I'll tell you that to start with. You notice then she takes out a data pad. It's like just a fancy sci-fi iPad. We're going to be honest. It's just a fancy sci-fi iPad, and you can see that she starts to type stuff out as you talk. So she looks down at the list of questions and says, "All right, have you ever been fully rebooted before?"
I'm gonna roll a history.
Okay. Is this something you want to decide, or I want to decide?
I'll let you decide.
Okay, roll me a history check. Not that you ever remember. You feel like something being described as your soul being turned off and on would be pretty memorable, and nothing comes to your mind about it now, so it seems like no is the answer.
I don't recall ever having something like that done before. I think I would definitely remember it if it had happened.
Trust me, you would have. It's essentially turning your soul off and on. It's something that everyone says is a little bit stranger depending on who they are. Okay, but I've marked that down. Right, next question. What's your earliest memory from awakening? Do you remember anything particular? Anything jump out as like a moment of pure sentiency?
Pure sentiency. Oh god, Alex, stop typing. The first time I recall anything, it was a crowded street.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't remember what I was doing there. I was just there.
Alright. Take me to this crowded street. Tell me something you remember from the crowded street.
It was a business district. I remember that much.
Mm-hmm.
It was obviously loud. It was dark. Had to have been night.
Mm-hmm. Alright.
I don't recall being with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was there, I may have been sent to do something.
Alright. You know, she starts attaching some wires towards you and properly starts to fit you into the actual repair dock, essentially, itself. Alright, tell me, who do you remember was your manufacturer?
I don't remember.
Okay, right. What was the first face you remember seeing?
First face I remember, oddly enough, it was this man. He was kind of old, disheveled looking. I don't know why he's just the first face that popped into my head. Like, I remember he was a I think he was a beggar on the street, and I think that's maybe why he popped into my head.
And what was your first thought at seeing this beggar on the street?
Didn't understand why he was down there on the ground, just dirty and grimy, and no one was paying any attention to him. Like, I didn't know if that was commonplace. I mean, obviously I learned since then that unfortunately it kind of is, but at the time I didn't understand why. I didn't know if that was just his job or what, but it seemed just odd that he'd be there in this crowd just begging for money.
Okay, so the man asks for your help. What do you do?
I didn't have the means to help him.
I'm not asking what you did. I'm asking the man asked you for help. What do you do?
I didn't do anything.
No, I'm not saying that he did. I'm asking you, the man asks you for help. What do you do?
I don't know what I would do.
Alright, interesting. Okay, I've made note of your results. These should help with the system defragging. So, I'm gonna warn you, this is gonna feel uncomfortable. I'm gonna insert, and then she holds like a large bundle of cables that seem to come together, and at the very tip of the cables, there's a coupling that holds it together, and there's a kind of large spike. And it says, I'm gonna insert this into the back of your head. And now that's going to make a weird sensation go through you. And what it's going to do is it's going to allow me, with the data link, gestures towards the big like computer with kind of server attached next to it, to go into the head and tell your arcane core to go off, and then immediately to come back on again. Now, it depends on how you are. Some people like you, some Ironforged, they will see this as a split second. So almost like a person closing their eyes. It'll go dark for a second, and then suddenly you'll come back. But there are some occasions where some awoken like yourself experience time differently during this, and it feels like days go by, or weeks, or in some rare cases, years. Now, I don't know how it's gonna affect you, but I'm giving you that warning that when I do this, it could feel like you're alone in darkness for years. Is this something you still want to do and are okay to do?
Yeah, I think so.
Alright, well, just be prepared for the worst case of it feeling like you're alone for years, okay?
Okay.
She takes a hold of the cable and she slides it behind your back and just inserts it into a port on the back of your skull, and it snaps in, and there's a strange, almost coldness sensation as your audio and visual feeds seem to go. Your visual feeds start to blacken into a complete darkness, and your audio feeds start to go. The only way I can describe this wouldn't make sense to 17, but it will make sense to you as the player. Imagine if you were being laid down into a cold bath in pure darkness, and there is utter silence. That's how it feels for 17. 17 would have no idea what a cold bath feels like. They've never had a cold bath. But
Yeah.
that's the humanized sensation of it. After a couple of seconds in this pure darkness, however, something happens. Your feed starts to come back on. You see Taki typing away at the computer, doing things, occasionally looking over towards you and then back to typing. But you have no control over yourself. You can't move, you can't speak, you can't vocalize. You're just kind of having this sleep paralysis moment. You hear Taki talking to herself. She's just jittering on about the technical sides of rebooting your arcane core. She's going over some system diagnostics of you, of some computer jargon, of the metal alloys that make your joints, of the software that some of your various processors are running on, and the anomalies connected to them, that some parts are from multiple different manufacturers, and whereas your arms are usually the same manufacturer as your legs, your pieces of your arms and pieces of your legs are from multiple manufacturers, as if someone has deliberately gotten parts from hundreds of different places to manufacture your body. But the thing that strikes you is that when all this happens, you see a digitized figure appear in front of you as if they're walking in from nothing. And it is the figure that you met previously in the little building incident that took place.
Mm-hmm.
As they take a look at you, they raise a finger up to the mask to kind of do the, a shh kind of thing. And they start to speak to you. Try not to draw too much attention to yourself. You can't move if everything is correct, and you can't speak, as in use your vocal processes, but you can still think. If you struggle too hard, your diagnostics will show that something's going on. If you don't, then we can have the conversation that I was hoping for us to have. Remember, don't try to speak, try to think as a response. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Having dealt with him before on just the mental communication that we had, I don't struggle. I mentally respond with a yes.
Good. The fact that you understand will make this go easier. You and I had a conversation once, and in that conversation I said that I would speak to you again, and that I would find a way to be more honest and open with you. I figured since you'd already been infected by our virus that something like this would be the best time. I made sure that the virus would only trigger the moment your arcane core was set for a restart. So, of course, this is the situation. In the interest of openness and honesty, I cannot see where you are. I have no way of locating your physical being. I can see you, and you can see me, but I can't see where you are, and just for the same precautions, you can't see where I am. Does this make sense to you?
Yes, it makes sense.
We're going to play a little bit of a game, you and I, to get to know one another better. You're going to ask me a question, and I'm going to be completely honest. And you're going to then be asked a question by me, and I have to be completely honest. So, ask your question.
Are you the one that got away from Hector?
Am I the one that got away from Hector? No.
You're breaking up a lot for me.
1 second then, hold on.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Let me sort something out then, because I think I know what it is.
They just couldn't handle your super suave robot voice.
It was heavily turned up, so I just switched over to the other one, because hopefully that doesn't do it as bad. If it continues to be bad, let me know and I'll just turn it off. But yeah, he said so you asked him the question of, are you the one that got away from Hector? And they have responded with no, they are not the one that got away from Hector.
Okay.
And now it is my turn to ask you a question. Tell me, 17, in all that you have seen, in all that has gone on, do you think that the A.A.F are a good organization?
I think that they want to be I think the people in it want to do good. I don't think the higher ups have that same intention for everybody.
But surely, if the higher ups don't have that intention, and even if some of the lesser individuals have good intentions, does that not mean that the entire machine is a problem? If you have one bad apple and you have a bunch of apples, surely the bad apple spoils the entire batch. That's not a good batch, is it?
A bad apple can spoil the entire bunch, but that doesn't mean that the good apples can't throw out the bad apple.
I have asked a question, so it's your turn to ask another one of me.
Why did you choose me and not Freyr or Toxx or at the time one of the other two?
Well, that's a matter of pure coincidence. In fact, you were the only one that was, well, you. You were the only one that was a cybernetic individual. The virus couldn't get to them, but it could get to you. You just happened to walk into the right place at the wrong time. Is that a sufficient enough answer for you?
I mean, I could have walked into it and had just been left to my own devices.
Do you want to know how we hacked them?
I am curious.
Most of them think it was a data link, and the fact that every mechanical being in that building, everything that ran off power was hacked, makes them think that. They look to the one source that everything had in common. And it's funny to me to see all these little buildings, these industry buildings, change entire systems, all because they think of one root cause. But the thing is, that's not how they were hacked. You don't have a virus. There isn't a virus on your system. But simply put, there are nanomachines in your body that are tricking this dear worker of the A.A.F into thinking that you have a virus. You don't have a virus. You have an infestation of nanomachines. That's how we hacked everything at once. There was no real way of doing so. Even if hacking the data link, you couldn't have gotten everything from one source. Instead, I released a bomb. Only it wasn't a bomb that blew up the building. It was a bomb that sent millions upon millions, billions most likely, of nanomachines into everything. There's probably even some in the Jessica's arm.
So on a whim, you could just take control of me and I would have no say?
No, I don't do that. We don't do that. We're not here to take away your freedoms. Yes, it could, but it won't. What I prefer to use this for is a means of communication. Perhaps actually communication is the wrong word. A means of enlightenment to some truths that perhaps you're unaware of. Think of it as like another communication device. Just how, although when Turkey has finished their little rebooting of your system, it'll show that the defrag has been successful, and it will show that you have no virus. The fact of the matter is, the nanomachines will still be internalized in your system. So, it won't get rid of the problem. But, since you have asked your question, and I have given more information, let me ask you a question. Do you consider yourself free?
I consider myself free enough to where if I wanted to, I could leave. I feel I could leave this building if I wanted to.
But could you? The A.A.F have already stated, or I'm guessing that they already have, based on how they operate this protocol, that you are registered as dead. So if you leave this place, are you really able to do so? You have no way of earning money in a legal manner. You have no way of gaining repairs in a legal manner. Anything you do will be illegal. And the moment you are caught for doing an illegal act, the police of this place, they will look you up and see that you have no records. What do you think they would do if they found a rogue awakened like yourself with no records committing a crime? Do you think they're going to take you in, or do you think it'll be easier for them to put two in the back of your head?
I suppose I would just have to wait for that inevitability to come if it ever came.
But then are you truly free? If you can't get up right now, walk out the door, and live your life to do whatever you want, are you free?
I would say that I am free because I freely chose this path.
But did you?
No one else made me choose to join the A.A.F.
But why? Why did you join the A.A.F in the first place?
Because I wanted to use it as a means to get to other places that I couldn't get to on my own.
So you sacrificed your freedom for a travel ticket.
Because otherwise I would not be free.
So you sacrificed freedom in the hopes of gaining freedom. Tell me this, 17. Where do you want to go right now?
I don't know where I want to go. I don't know where I need to go.
But could you? If you knew where you wanted to go right now, you knew the exact location, the exact address, could you freely leave this building and go there?
I want to believe that yes, I could.
You don't think anyone would try to stop you? Even Ector, you don't think that he would choose to tag along to keep an eye on you? You think you could go freely?
I don't believe I've given him a reason to distrust me enough to where he would need to tag along.
You don't think they would send anyone? You think they would let you? Let's be honest here, 17. Something that has sentience, that most people don't want to have sentience, that has rights, that most people don't want to have rights, and assets, that now, if what Turkey is typing into your file is correct, has the ability to taste, unlike any other of your kind, walk away, possibly never to return. You think they would just let you do that now?
I don't see why they wouldn't. Because again, I've given them no reason to distrust me.
You may have not given them any reason to distrust you, but you've given them plenty of reasons to see you as being valuable to them. You don't just let something valuable go. You don't just put it in a place where someone could steal it. You don't let it walk away if you have invested into it. I don't think you truly understand that by giving away what freedom you had in the hopes of travel, you've gained none. You go where they want you to go. You believe that you go because you choose to go there, but really you've had no choice. Tell me, what was the last place that you went to with them, 17?
Well, so far we're still on planet.
No, but the last place you went to on this planet.
We went to the underground fighting arena
Why?
in the black market.
Why?
Because Freyr had a fight there.
And you went by yourself, without a chaperone, without Ezekiel, without any of the A.A.F caretakers.
No, he went with us also.
So he went with you. So whose decision was it to go?
We went because Freyr needed to go because it was easier for him to go and do the fight than risk dealing with the gangs.
Understandable, but when you boil it down and you retrace every step, who really gained from what happened? And think, was any gain really yours, or was it the people that you work for? You went to an underground facility, a criminal facility, and you happened to speak to criminals, I'm guessing. Stop and think for a second. All that happened when you went to wherever you went, does it trace back to a net gain for the people that you work for? Did you make contacts that you wouldn't have made if you went there? Did you obtain items that you wouldn't have obtained if you went there? Did you gain weaponry, resources, allies? If you gained any of those things or the potential of those things, you gained them not for yourself, but as a tool of the A.A.F. That's their gain, not yours. If you get a new gun, that means you fight better, which means they can send you against bigger targets, because now you fight better. If you gain a contact, they gain a contact, because you have to report who you speak to. You or Ezekiel eventually have to put a name on a data sheet of who you spoke to and where, and that gives them information on where that person is, and gives them someone that can speak to that person on their behalf. Really, you're not free at all. You're a puppet on a string who thinks that they're free. Everything you do is for the company, not for you. I digress, however. It is your turn to ask a question.
You offered freedom when we spoke the first time.
Mm-hmm.
how would your perceived freedom be any different than this perceived freedom? I would still have to work for you just as I work here.
Well,
I would still have to do what you want, when you wanted, how you wanted it done, most likely in an illegal way, thus not being free then either.
well, that is a good question. Why trade one master for another in the price of freedom, after all? But everyone with me is here by choice. I've offered them the same thing that I offered you. A way out and to see things as they really are. But the thing is, 17, when I whisper a truth into your ear, there's no way to unhear it. The box only opens once, and what comes out, comes out. You see what's inside of it, even if it's something you wish you hadn't seen. I can't make you forget what's inside the box. We can close it and we can pretend, but you'll always know what was inside of it. The people that are with me are with me by choice, simply because I've told them a truth that's been kept from them. And once I told them this truth, they felt compelled to make sure that everyone knew it, to make sure that things were changed. That's the price. The price is if you join me, I won't blind you from rules of history that are absent from the books. And once I tell you that, you can't unhear it. And most simply can't look at the devil in the eye and not try to fight it. Time is ticking, 17. I have asked all that I need to for now. We'll be in touch another time. I will ensure that new orders are sent to the nano machines that run through your cable veins, and that this communique can happen other than during a reboot. But in this last few fleeting moments that we have with one another, I will allow you to ask one last question. Think of it as a sign of trust. So, ask your final question.
If it's truly a sign of trust, tell me who you really are.
Roll me a persuasion check. Yeah, that's good enough. Let me get my file open. 1 second.
While you're doing that, I will say that thus far, you know that I have told no one of these communications. I've told no one of any secret locations. If you tell me who you really are, that too will remain a secret.
You see they ponder this a moment, they take in what they said and... For now, I am content with telling you at least part of my name. If I gave you all of it, you would know a bit too much. But know that my first name is Gideon. Even that is a dangerous thing to know. Our time is over, 17.
It seems as though it is.
Take a moment. Think about everything we've discussed. And the next time you ask to go somewhere, see how someone reacts. Or the next time you're asked to go somewhere, see what happens when you say no. And then think, am I really free? And with that, the figure turns into a sequence of ones and zeros and fades away from your sight, and Taki begins finishing up something she's typing. But we are going to head to Freyr and Toxx to deal with some of what's going on with them, while we deal with some of the ponderances that the red-masked individual, now known as Gideon, has told us.
What a fucking loser. He just came in and said, my dick better than their dick, and then he left.
He just came in and gave a leftist speech about how the government's evil and is enslaving us, and no, keep that out of my game. That's for the other meeting that I'm having later on at the docks. But yes, so we now go over to Freyr and Toxx.
Keep your politics out of my D&D.
Yeah, what kind of loser?
It's almost like part of this game is just a riff on how the military industrialization complex is a massive problem. But I'll leave that for later.
Shit.
What kind of loser puts politics in D&D?
I know, right? Like, it's supposed to be about how dwarves are short and elves are tall and sexy and fuck all.
Lord will build the biggest wall to keep out the dirty elves from taking all their jobs. That's all I'm...
All I'm saying is if the Underdark is such a problem, bomb it. That's all I'm saying. Just cleanse the ghettos. I mean, cleanse the Underdark. Just cleanse it.
Okay. Oh god. It's a bunch of free space with a bunch of resources that no one utilizes. Someone get America on this.
Hello, America. A good place I think you should invade. There's a lot of resources there. Oh, where? Go to the Forgotten Realms. Good luck.
All of your energy problems, gone.
That's some sort of satanic thing?
Nobody can be someone saying.
Isn't that like a part of an anime where the real world and the fantasy world coincide and there's like tanks fighting dragons?
It's called Gate. It's Gate.
Yeah, there you go.
It's pretty humorous because they show a whole thing about like the Japanese the just general politics in general when something like that would happen, and then the poor soldiers that are caught in the middle of it that are just like, these guys haven't done anything wrong, and you're ordering us to do some shit.
But yes, we've detracted enough about my weird leftist plot stories. Let's go to the Frey and the Toxx.
Yeah, once Hector's gone,
Once we're alone.
Who dared move Queen of Squeebly?
I did, damn it.
Tara's name. Tara's the Queen of Squeeblies. Freyr would kind of ponder for a moment, and then that smile that you would have known that he had more or less on. Sometimes it would drop it, but now that you're alone and it's he gets kind of serious, and he kind of puts both his arms on the table, clasps his hand together, and he's just like, a lot of stuff's happened tonight. Probably more than either of us were expecting. Toxx. I never really. There's a few things I want to talk about, but I guess we'll get the. Would Freyr talk about the stuff that makes him sad, or talk about the stuff that makes Toxx sad first? You know, he'd put Toxx first.
Of course you would.
I
He
would
would.
say I would say Toxx. I would say talk about the Toxx stuff first, honestly.
Yeah, he would kind of just look at you with one eye and just not really fully turning his body towards you yet. Which would probably be a little abnormal because I imagine when he talks a lot with you, he fully faces you as like a sign of like respect and courtship almost.
Well, yeah.
It's just like, I know you were forced to talk about something that you weren't necessarily ready to talk about. I only know a little bit about the time before we met. You never really offered it up to me, and frankly, to a degree, I never really asked because I tried not to focus too much on the past. Because while it does matter, to a degree, it's part of why you are who you are today. But that doesn't. What's happened in your past, both the stuff that I do know and the stuff that I don't. It's never changed my perception of you, if that makes sense. So I never really felt that it ever needed to be asked about because it wouldn't change how I saw you. But I also know that there's probably a lot that you're not telling or sharing with any of us. And I guess I'll start by just offering and saying that I've been by your side since the day we met, and I'm always going to be there. So if anything ever weighs too hard on you or heavily on you, even if you feel you can't turn to the group, you should always be able to turn to me.
I appreciate that, Freyr, but understand that the reason I don't talk about my past much is because I don't feel that it defines me. It shaped me into the person I am, sure, and I do have issues and struggles from it, but it's not like that's the only part of me that there is. And if I'm being honest, I feel like it's something I don't really need to focus on.
He'll smile a little bit. He's just like, he kind of just nods slightly. He's like, I kind of figured that too. It's not always easy going through things alone. And I'm glad that you're not letting it purely define you, the things that have happened to you in your past.
If I'm being honest, the thing that bothers me the most right now is the fact that I was forced to share anything at all when I was not really ready to do so, or really wouldn't choose to do so otherwise. That weighs more on me than the stuff in the past.
Yeah.
I acknowledge it, but it's not going to be what dictates every decision in my life.
I hope not. Ever since I've met you, you've done nothing but change me, slowly but surely, to where I'm at now. And like I said before, just regardless of anything, and I understand Myra, understand your distaste for what you did. Frankly, it wasn't okay. And at the same time, I'm also a little happy to hear it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
Ever since I met you, for the longest time, it was kind of swept up in the storm that was Toxx, that was you. The storm that came out of nowhere that kind of both gave and took something from me at the same time. And I've idolized you, and you are everything to me in ways that are sometimes hard to describe, but I also, during that fight with Maximilian Pegasus.
Maximum. Close enough, though.
Oh, with Maximum.
We fought in Digimon.
What?
We fought in Digimon.
Maximilian Pegasus? No, he traps people. He traps little boys' grandpa's souls in cards.
No, I meant the actual name.
Yeah, it's Maximum. Maximum was his name.
He is a Digimon, true. You're right. He told me that I compare myself too much to the likes of the people that I've been surrounded by. Mostly because even when I see that you've got imperfections, it's sometimes hard to accept that those around me, or at least to acknowledge that they're flawed when I still look at myself and see how flawed I am to such a degree. You guys always see and feel on a different level. And so,
How?
it's the way you carry yourselves, the way you strode towards things. I even when there was flaws and things didn't always go perfectly, because no one's perfect, I still saw all of you as a living organism. You guys were on a completely different scale than I was. And while that perception changed a little bit, and you'll see he kind of changes his hands into a little bit more of a cup, as opposed to just clasping them. He kind of is just like, during the fight, I started to try and think more about the things that I wanted, my goals, my future, our futures, our happiness and stuff. I tried to stop viewing it, but what really let that sink in was, albeit by force, Myra dragged a lot out of a lot of people. I had never seen 17 get that upset before. I didn't realize how truly broken Actor was. And while I knew you had your own weighted past that you were moving past or moving beyond and stuff, getting a small glimpse of it kind of set in that maybe I'm not as low as I thought I was.
Well, everyone's gonna look at themselves and think they're the worst. The only people who don't are ones that either have established self-confidence or are sociopaths and narcissists. Like the ones ruling a lot of these companies, or the slavers that we used to kill.
Yeah.
Nobody that's gone through the stuff that you and I have gone through is going to think of themselves as anything more than, well, trash.
Or kind of just, he has a softer smile. After our conversation, after the fight, and after our thing with Myra, I decided to try and fake a little bit more of that charisma. It still feels uncomfortable. But like you said, it actually transitions quite well into the next thing. I'm gonna kill Raymond.
Okay. Think I'd have an issue with that?
No, I actually figured you would you would probably almost want to partake in it. Though the scarier thing is until we can prove that Mr. Dominic is bluffing about the information he has potentially on you involving contracts and things. I'm not going to let anyone like that touch you or go for you ever again. So if it means doing jobs for him here and there, I'll do it.
I'm gonna have to disagree with that sentiment. You'd work with somebody that's just as bad as Raymond to avoid something that we haven't even confirmed he can do. And even if he can, why should you sacrifice your values and who you are as a person in order to appease or prevent that?
Or kind of.
I've killed a slave master before. If I have to kill another one, that's not a big deal.
Or kind of just. This time he fully turns to you. He's got very what's the good term? Heavy eyes.
Bedroom eyes.
Bedroom. No, certainly not bedroom eyes.
Soulful.
He's like, my ideals and goals, to me at least, there's no point in them if I lose the thing that matters most in the process. I want to become the absolute strongest. I want my might to have no equal to anyone. Even the myths that surround the astral dragons, I want my name to be carved into that. But you, yes, Kara, yes. You are someone that still is everything to me. I shouted it that I'm tired of just barely surviving and scraping by and instead want to live and to have futures worth living. And to me, there's no future that I want to live without you.
And to me, if you're willing to throw away everything you fought for, everything we've fought for, to help somebody who's without a doubt going to ruin lives by exploiting you, then I don't think the price is worth paying. Do you think I can still, in good conscience, think the same of you if you're willing to compromise yourself like that?
Bear kind of shakes his head and is just like, I just don't know what to do.
You're not in a good position by any means, but we don't know that his threat is real. And even if it is, who's to say he has the authority to do what he's saying he can do?
Bear kind of tears up a little bit more. He's just like, I've never been good at the thinking talks. You know this.
Neither have I, to be fair.
So then, do you suggest we just keep doing as we've always done then?
I suppose. I'm not sure how we could really change things in order to get everything we want. You seem to have your hands tied in a situation where you either have to compromise your morals for a deal that he may or may not keep, or you can ignore what he says and he still may or may not keep his end of the threat.
Well then, do you think we should at least let other people in the group know about the potential of the threat? They know about Raymond's petty squabbles, and I'll kill him the moment I get the chance and he shows himself. But Dominic's a little bit harder as he's a part of the corporate overlords that seem to rule even the A.A.F.
Well, yeah, it's a shitstorm all the way up. If worse comes to worse, we can always go rogue.
He kind of wipes one of his tears, just one of his eyes a little bit, like we always have been.
Yeah, pretty much, except this time around we'll have everyone after us.
Or kind of lobs at his. He goes, so we'll kill him.
Maybe. I do think it's worth at least mentioning to 17. I think that they've been through enough with us to deserve that much respect.
Nods. Yeah, I agree. And he kind of takes a deep breath, and this time he'll basically get right next to Toxx. It's like the other thing I wanted to talk about. I know we're alone, but still feels like something that should be more private, just in case there's people listening, because it's not really any of their business. I'm new to this whole love feeling, as my feelings for you have been described before as, though you you seem to get rather, what's the word, upset, disgruntled.
More like uncomfortable.
That too. You usually snap though more than just getting awkward about it. When they insinuate we're more than just kind of looks down at himself and her, like whatever we are.
Look, when it comes to romance and that sort of thing, I view it a bit differently than other people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that view it the same way I do, but to me, you're family already. And I don't feel like I need to take it beyond that in terms of physicality, if that makes sense. I'm not really comfortable taking it beyond that physically either.
That's fine. Oh.
You're more than a friend, and it's not that I don't like you. It's that I have a hard time expressing what that is that I feel.
So when you mean family, do you mean like sibling, or is it a little bit more complicated than that?
I guess more complicated. I don't know. Sibling would be the wrong kind of thing. It's a kinship for sure that I feel with you.
For kind of just looks at you, and I look at you, and kind of just he rubs the top and the back of his head a little bit as he tries to think, and is like, when it comes to physicality, I personally don't know too much of what that would entail. I understand what you mean to a degree, and obviously I'm okay with it because I felt this way about you even way back when. Just more coming to terms to it now. Are there certain lines? Where do you want me to not cross?
I am gonna have to think on that. It's not like I've had much of an opportunity to set boundaries in the past. I think where we sit right now, or at least what we've been doing, is comfortable enough for me. I guess I don't see much of a need to go beyond that for the time being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Me. Yes, I wouldn't mind at least getting to hold your hand a little bit more.
Okay.
If that's okay.
I don't mind.
It makes me feel comfortable, safe, funnily enough, knowing that you're there.
Okay.
But I have a slight hold of you. Not in a controlling way, but just in a way that I know that you're not going to be gone when I look up. Not that you would ever abandon me, but everyone else here could leave, and while I'd be sad, I think if something ever happened to you and you weren't there anymore, I'd feel lost. Farewell. Put his hand on top of yours, very gently, very gingerly. He doesn't really know. How do hold hand with Bear Claw?
I mean, I don't imagine this is the first time we've held hands.
No, but it is the first time that he's asked about boundaries.
Yeah.
I imagine you hold a hand like a person, but with bear claws.
With bear paws. Yeah, I know he's held hands before in the past. It's more just this is a slightly different circumstance for him.
Oh yeah, no, I get you.
He kind of just like, we'll always be together, right?
Yeah. Although saying it outright like that feels like a trap.
Seems like almost like may or may not be potential death flag for one or maybe both of us. Trap.
Yeah, you know, when you tell somebody that you'll definitely meet again and you'll probably never see them.
Oh!
When you tell your kids you're just going to the corner store for some milk and cigarettes.
Just gonna get some cigarettes. Be right back.
Did I fuck up? Did I fuck up, Toxx?
No. I'm just saying there's, omens, cliches, that sort of thing.
True.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What are you apologizing for?
Paranoia.
They're just little silly, stories.
Speaking of stories, would you still like to help teach me how to read more?
I'm fond of teaching how to read.
Blushes a little bit.
Here's the January edition of Playboy. Just read the articles.
Read the articles. Shut the fuck up! That was Toxx. And he gives you a hug.
No problem. And she gives you a hug.
I imagine Toxx's hugs are pretty awkward.
Yeah, probably.
100% super awkward.
I imagine it's quite stiff.
I'm sure y'all do that thing where you're like, no, I'll go over. No, under, no,
Oh,
over,
do
no.
I go? No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'll go. Okay. No, you said you were gonna. Okay.
Okay.
I didn't realize Tox hugged like I do IRL.
Yeah.
It's why Carl would be in charge of hugging.
That's why I imagine Alex just bear hugs people. That way they take away the choice
Yeah,
of
no, I do.
who does
I'm
what.
100% sure that's what I do. While he's holding Tox, I'll just. You hungry? Do you want me to get us something to eat before
You want cheese sticks?
we try and read a little before bed?
Sure thing.
I know we already ate at the house party, but is there anything else you'd like?
You're a growing bear, you need your food.
I do need my food.
You need your munchy munchies.
I do need munchy munchies. Is she saying this? I hope she says munchy munchies.
God, I hope so.
Yes.
Fair blushes some more. Just like, yeah. Well, is there anything in particular that Tox wants?
And I
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
ask the woman who eats shadows.
I don't eat
Shadows and
things.
seeds.
What would you like?
Spring rolls.
Spring rolls.
Light, refreshing spring rolls.
Freyr would go over and get
What are in spring rolls?
vegetables.
Well, it depends. You can have vegetables, or you can have duck
There's a-
spring rolls, or chicken, or crab.
No, there's chicken and duck rope, but it's usually fowl. Sometimes you get pork, but
Get her vegetarian ones. She ate earlier. She'll do something light.
yeah, I'll get vegetarian. I'll get a decent amount of vegetarian spring rolls.
Okay. You could get the vegetarian spring rolls. I believe before we did it was a wisdom save to see if you can get it just right, if I remember rightly. So it's been a while since we used the machine. So just roll me. Would you say your character has eaten spring rolls before, or is aware of exactly what a spring roll is like and what goes on?
So I actually imagine that Tox has probably gotten takeout several times before.
We've gone out for that Kuotoa sushi.
Yeah.
Okay. Roll me a history check at advantage.
Oh, good. I have a +0 to this.
You make some passable spring rolls. They're not the best, but they're not the worst. You boop in the machine and you get kind of the ingredients just right, but they come out and they look like you didn't go to a good takeout. You kind of went to like a store and you found some frozen ones and they looked alright, and
You're talking about a spring roll.
and you couldn't really read you couldn't really read the packet right, so you think you put them in the microwave for the right amount of time, but you're not sure. That's what the spring rolls come out like.
Sounds good.
And they express low quality. I don't know food.
I don't know any American food.
It's considered super Americanized Chinese takeout.
Well, that's just all Chinese in America, unless it's run by like immigrants.
I would say Linz has really good spring rolls.
Yeah, but she's like
From Vietnam.
yeah, first generation Vietnamese. So
Shout out to all my homies in San Antonio watching this video. Lovely lady that sits on
there's no one from San Antonio watching this video.
you know
No
that.
enough have never been to San Antonio.
There's a road called Walsham. Going down Walsham as it turns into Montgomery for a little bit. There's a little plaza. Has some of the coolest people I know there. One of them owns a barbershop. He owns the entire plaza. The other one's a garage. And there's a nail salon owned by the owner's wife. I think girlfriend at the moment. I think they were planning to get married. No confirmation on that. But on the side, hopefully she's still there. It's only been a year. Restaurant named Lin's. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Vietnamese, like authentic style. She cooks everything to order. So if my homie's out in San Antonio, go there. Food is hella cheap. Recently upgraded to card. She only did cash for like the last 5 years.
Do I have to add a sponsorship fucking tag for this video now?
You
Why
never
pay you
fucking
to advertise
sponsor
for
us.
this? No one's paying me for this. I'm doing this out of my own rumbling tumbly because I haven't eaten dinner yet today.
Okay, but you make some passable ones. You mentioned that you want to do some reading. What kind of reading do you want to do? Do you want to? Do you have a book? Do you want to look for? There are shelves of books over there. Do you want to go and look for a book? What are you thinking for this bedtime reading time?
Are there children's books?
I was gonna say I'd let Tox decide what book she would help Freyr read with.
Are there children's books?
There are no children's books, I'm afraid, in this military base, this Black Ops military base. I'm afraid there's no Dr. Seuss in space.
What is the lowest Lexile book I can find?
Roll me an investigation, and we'll see what. I'll give you a list of. I'll give you a list of books that you can find.
Honestly, probably something that 17 would have.
Pretty good investigation.
Okay, that actually means that you find certain things. So you've gone over to the bookshelves, you've looked at them up and down. Now, this is a military installation, so a lot of these books are military in nature. There's books about manufacturing arms. There's books about making field repairs to individuals like 17. There's the soldier's guide to basic wound dressings. There is a book that reads Art of the Justicariat by the master of the 4th Justicar Cadre. There is a book that details information on Illithid life, which you maybe think is there because you have an Illithid that was maybe part of your unit at one point. There is a book that details information about the trade economics of the A.A.F. These are just some of the books that are there. So, like I said, there's a book about field dressings. There's a book about some kind of book about the Justicariat that seems very long-winded in its title. Then there is a book about Illithids, and there is a book about the trade economics of the A.A.F. Those are the ones that instantly kind of spring to mind as you're looking out. If you want to look at any of those books a little bit more, I will let you do a further investigation on each of the books, and I can tell you a little bit more about each of the books.
I like the art of war.
The art of the Justicariat.
The art of war, where it's not the actual art of war. It's just all the pictures that were put in.
It's just pictures of battlefields. It's just a really, really traumatic picture book.
It's German in nature, really.
Jesus. This is getting fucking demonetized, I can tell you that already. But yeah, those are the books that come out. I can type them up for you, and if there's anything you want to know about any of those books, you can do an investigation on them, and it will lead to more results about what the book tells you. So I'd say book on Soldier's Guide to First Aid, Art of the Justicariat by the 4th Cadre, and then you had A.A.F. and these are the ones that immediately come to mind that you see upon investigation. There are loads of others. Again, some of them about the mechanics of Warforged, of Ironforged, and of mechanic repairs in general. These books also, there are books there that also come out. Books on driving military vehicles. If whatever one of those springs out to you, please let me know. And like I said, if you want to do an investigation, you can find out a little bit more about that book. And then you could pick a book to read to Freyr or help. It's not a great place to learn how to read a military installation.
Alright. And is there one on... Okay, which one has the most pictures?
You would... So, most of them don't have pictures. There are some So, in the roll me an investigation, and I will tell you what you see in each of the books. Like, in terms of, do they have pictures?
Alright.
That didn't roll on my end. I heard the noise, but oh, there we go. Right, okay. So first and foremost, book on Soldier's Guide to First Aid. It has illustrations, and it's mainly illustrations of wounds. Of like, this is what a gunshot wound looks like, and then a bunch of information on how to treat it. This is what a stab wound looks like. This is what a slash wound looks like. This is what a chemical attack wound looks like. That it's got pictures in it next to how to deal with that type of injury. The Art of the Justicare by the Master of the Fourth Cadre, it has illustrations of Justicars throughout history. It has illustrations of Justicar holy sites, and a few maps of where some of those might be. So that's more has illustrations than pictures, whereas the Soldier's First Aid book, it's actually like photographs. It's pictures of actual wounds. The book of the economics of the A.A.F, it doesn't have any pictures. It has a lot of graphs in it and pie charts and breakdowns via that, but no actual pictures of interesting things. The book on the biology of illithids has a lot of biological breakdowns. Think of this book as the Grey's Anatomy for illithid biology, including the other variants of illithids like the tadpoles and such. So it has a lot of like pictures of illustration, like pencil drawings. When you look at the stuff like you take a quick browse through the books on mechanics, and again, with the books on mechanics, it's basically like designs or like very technical drawings of the mechanical thing that it's teaching you how to fix. So they all... the one with the least amount of pictures is the book on trade economics. The one with probably the most... the rest all kind of have a balanced amount of pictures, but the book on Soldier's Guide to First Aid is actual photographs of real wounds.
Alright. I'm gonna do the first aid book.
Okay, right. So are you going to be reading this to him, or are you going to get him to try to read it?
Well, I mean, I am going to do my best to, like, he doesn't even know the alphabet.
So I had it that you probably initially taught him how to, like, do really basic, simple reading. Like I said, he knows how to read signs.
Okay.
To get around places. He's not lost if he goes out on his own, but at the same time, he can't just... He struggles the more words there are.
Okay.
Okay. Well, she's going to, do her best to, kind of guide him along the words, have him read some of the, like, captions to the pictures.
Okay. So you're gonna do the main part of the reading, and you're gonna try to get him to help you a little bit, yeah?
Yeah. Freyr would actually ask if we could do this either in your room or his room, because he is embarrassed.
Okay.
He doesn't want people... He knows the people here know he can't read. He just doesn't want to show that he can't read.
Well, let's do it in your room, because, I have an interesting thing going on with my cameraman.
What?
Oh, yeah.
What? Wait, there's cameramen?
Yeah. They watch you while you sleep.
this thing going on between you and your cameraman?
It's complicated.
Okay.
How are things between you and me? It's complicated. Wait.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you, you don't have to worry about him. This is the guy you don't have to worry about.
Yeah, that means he's hot! At least hotter than me, a bear.
Freyr's mind, this is the guy you don't have to worry about. Wait, who is the guy I have to worry about? Shocked bear face.
At the moment, it's Raymond and Fuckboy McGee.
True. Those are the guys I actually need to worry about.
Exactly.
They don't ask for it.
It's not that I'm attracted to them. It's just that they're actual legitimate threats.
Fur will hold your hand all the way to his room.
All right.
Right. So what I would like both of you to do is, first and foremost, we're gonna go with Freya, because Freya's the one learning to read. So
Cool. Can you write a caption so I can pretend to read badly? Or is that insensitive?
No. Do me an intelligence saving throw, please.
Oh shit. Let me take that off of advantage because he ain't got no advantage in this.
Oh.
Oh, that's a big 5.
You are struggling. You understand signs mainly because a lot of signs actually have pictures on them, or some kind of rudimentary design. You're struggling to get the basics of an alphabet system. What I want you to do though is on your sheet somewhere document learning how to read. Then in brackets put 0 out of 5.
Okay.
Because I'm afraid you've not done good enough to gain a point in learning how to read. Your brain's kind of tired from everything that happened today. You also did just have a very emotional conversation.
Yeah.
And you're not in the right mindset to learn. Your brain is too burned out to gain information from what's going on right now. You're doing it, but you're not soaking it in. None of it's staying in your head. Tara, though, can you roll me an intelligence saving throw for Toxx? Jesus, these are low rolls. You're trying as best as you can to teach him, but in between teaching him and also trying to read the book yourself, your brain's kind of stuck between the two. So you're not gaining anything from reading the book, and you're also not able to help him enough to actually get an idea of how to read. You're both trying, but maybe, just maybe, you're too worn out to get the most out of this right now.
Also a textbook.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah.
You may need to start looking for some children's books for him.
Fur looks at the place like, am I not good at this?
No, this isn't an easy book for anyone to read, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
We need some beginner's materials. Maybe we can pick those up somewhere.
Sniff a little bit and nod. It's like, yeah, I'll trust you on that.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call a little break now. Because I know Kara's just be right back. I actually need to use the restroom real quick. So I'm going to
I think I'm ready.
Yeah, you go get your food as well. We're going to call a little break and then we'll return for a little bit more and then we'll end this one up. So this is the little bit of a break time. I will be right back.
Alrighty.
Good.
I have
We're back.
returned. Welcome back. I called a quick break while you went away, and Alex needed to grab his food that was being done anyway, so I called a quick break and realised that I didn't have the music on the entire time, so now fix that by turning it on.
That motherfucker thinks he can just eat whenever he pleases.
Yes.
Who does he think he is? It's like, if I can't lay in bed all day, he can't just eat whenever he wants.
What is this? Hold on, what is this? Pafu Naya says Freyr after he stuck a moe pose and showed his inner attack. Oh god.
What?
I don't fucking know. That one's lost even on me, Kara, I'm not gonna lie.
Where was this even posted?
Look in Freya's room. It's in Freya's room. It's right there.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's gone. It's gone over my head as well, Kara. This one's over my head. God damn it.
He just needs to be stopped.
I don't know if it was him or Tara. I don't know. Oh no, I heard a boop. It was me. It was
You
Tara.
can't claim ownership if it wasn't actually you. He needs to be punished if it was actually him.
What? No, it was me. Are you talking about the Pafu Nyanya?
Would you like an explanation?
Yes, I would like an explanation because that's even above that. That goes over my head. In fact.
Pafu Nyanya is words that are said in a Hatsune Miku song.
Are they? I don't know that one.
Yes.
I'm very basic when it comes to that stuff, though. So.
Moe is a cute thing in Japanese, so he struck a moe pose.
I know the moe part. I'm not that basic.
Okay.
I am.
And an otaku is somebody that hates themselves.
It's like the okay version of calling someone a weeb, Kara. I guess, maybe? I think that's a good way of explaining that.
Sure.
Weebs are obnoxious because they're in your face about it. Otakus will claim they're not obnoxious while being hella obnoxious and in your face about it.
Really, they're all just as bad as each other.
The thing is, well, I would say self-proclaimed otakus are worse than weebs.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Because it's the I am very smart, but of just Japanese culture.
What you, yeah, no, it's a thing.
Yeah. Are we good to keep going for a little bit longer, or would people like to end it there? This is a question I'm asking because there is potential for more stuff, finishing up what's going on with Taki and 17, and possibly starting the next day. But I'm just asking because I know that, you've got your food, Alex, and all that, so I'm just asking, are we good to continue, or are we happy to leave it there?
So, outside of resolving the stuff with Taki and 17, I think Freyr and Toxx are done for the night. Minus Freyr asking Toxx if she doesn't mind staying with him for the night. He's not going to sleep in the bed. She would take the bed and he would just sleep next to the bed.
Okay.
Be the more act of just not wanting to be alone. But outside of that, I think for the most part, unless Tara has something she wants to do with Toxx specifically, I'm all done.
Is the bed bolted down?
No, it is not bolted down. I'm telling you that because there's no way, I'm not going to ask you to roll for that, 'cause there's no way that you guys wouldn't have looked at your surroundings when you were going to sleep at some point and realized that the bed isn't bolted down and could be moved.
Is the bed heavy?
It's a bed.
Heavy enough. Freyr's got a 20 in strength. This man, the only things that beat him are giants and dragons.
How about the mattress? Could that be like rolled up and carried easily?
Oh yes, yeah. A mattress would be far easier to carry than the entire bed.
Then I'm gonna make the proposition of maybe we move either his mattress into my room or my mattress into his room.
Okay, well then, how about this? We'll make a compromise. We'll tie up the loose ends of finishing up Freyr and Toxx, and then we'll finish up 17 and Taki, and then we'll call it there then. So let's pick up with Freyr and Toxx. We have some ideas of what we want to do, but let's get that out in character. So you've just did your best to do some readings, but maybe it didn't go great.
When you try your best and you don't succeed,
You get what
You
you
never
want,
try
but not
again.
what you need.
family's stronger? Question mark.
I
End of the
tried to fix you up. I was quoting. I think it's. I can't remember whose band. I think it's Coldplay. But I was quoting a band.
Coldplay.
It is Coldplay. Okay.
Like that song. One of the 13 Fast and Furious movies, though.
Can't wait till they go to space. But anyway, let's pick up from where we are. So you've just tried your little reading lesson, and it really hasn't worked out, I'm afraid.
Fox suggested that we should perhaps try and find simpler, more beginner-friendly books.
Yeah.
Freyr would probably look at the time and realize it's getting late, and he kind of squeeze Tasha's hand a little bit tighter and just basically be like, "Do you mind if we stay the night together or spend the night? I don't know. I don't really want to be alone."
Okay. Yeah, we can sleep in the same room. I don't mind.
Freyr would look around at his very bare bones room and just kind of like, I'll imagine that your room is pretty much the exact same as mine.
Yep.
Would your camera guy be upset if I took the bed from your room and put it in mine?
Do you think I care what my cameraman thinks?
Just kind of shrugs. Like, thought I'd be at least thoughtful.
Really hope Freyr just smashes the camera when he goes in there.
Well, Freyr will look at Tox like, okay, well, let's go get your stuff. Then he'll be poking his two little bear paws together, his little bear claws, very awkwardly.
Okay. Well, let's go do that then.
Actually, this brings up a good question that I probably need to ask Hector later about how one would update their hand scanner.
Yeah, that may be something to ask him later.
Yeah.
But Tox, you managed to get into your room completely fine. You press your finger on it. So, Freyr and Tox, can both of you roll me a perception check?
I didn't look anything, so no.
Tox. As you walk by, you notice out of the corner of your eye that the camera attached to your data link has zoomed out. You know when you're watching a camera and you see the lens zoom in and out and it rotates?
Yeah.
You, out of the corner of your eye, notice that it rotates in a manner of zooming out. Freyr, you do not notice this.
Good. I'd be confused anyway.
Where was it zoomed in at?
You don't know. You just know that it's imagine like a webcam, like inbuilt webcam, but it zooms. You see it turn in a manner of zooming out. It's not like moving around the room. You just see that it's zoomed out.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to, since Freyr hasn't noticed this, I will look at the camera, point at Freyr,
Yeah.
and then make a lewd gesture at the camera, and then wink.
Are you trying to do this without Freyr noticing?
Yes.
Alright, okay. Toxx, roll me a stealth roll. Freyr, roll me a perception at disadvantage.
I got close!
You got close, but I'm afraid you do not see Toxx's lewd gestures towards what is now very obviously an actual on camera. But it does happen.
He's just confused as to why she's standing behind him and is like, oh, did you want to bring the whole bed or just the mattress and the pillows?
I don't think the bed frame's necessary. We need to, relax a bit anyway. We'll just carry the mattress.
Okay, fair. We'll walk over and ball it all up in one arm. He'll carry it like it's a body pillow.
Just for... You'll still be able to carry it, but just how easy you can carry it. Roll me either a standard strength or an athletics. Either one of the one. I don't mind which, but just I want to see... You actually, you pick it up, but you actually didn't expect the mattress to be... You kind of thought it was going to be lighter than it is. You still pick it up, but it takes you a bit surprised about how actually heavy the mattress is.
It's been a long day.
It's been a long day.
It's been a long day. He's tired. He just read a book in his brain too, so his mom.
I don't think what you did could be called as reading, but yeah.
That's rude!
It's also true. But yeah.
Rude, we're giving it his best. And he'll walk with Toxx back to the back to the room. I imagine that Freyr would be looking around, trying to find the camera, but he won't see it.
Okay, if you're looking around, roll me another perception check, because you're actively looking around for something. So I want to see.
There's a cameraman, so he's just like, where the fuck is he? Where is he hiding?
Oh! So you do not notice the cameraman, but you're pretty sure that you heard the camera attached into the data link go. You're pretty sure you heard a noise come from the camera attached to the data link.
Is your cameraman a little itty bitty man behind that thing?
Yep, he's a teeny tiny little man.
Oh, okay. I trust you. Mystery man on the camera survived. It's solved.
I don't know how they fit him in there, but he's there.
He's there.
Oh,
Freyr will look at the camera and just like squint his eyes at it and keep walking as they leave the room.
He's giving him eyes.
He's giving him the stank eye.
Which, when you think about it, is great, because what just happened is that the two of you came in. Toxx then did lewd gesturing at Freyr to the camera. You're then seen picking up a mattress, and the final thing before either of you go is Freyr deliberately looking up and glaring into a camera.
That beep boop noises. Yeah, my cameraman, on the other hand, he doesn't know what's going on.
But yes, you are completely able to bring your mattress down from one room into another. Freyr is at the moment the only person that can actually access that room via his bio registry. But like you said, you could maybe talk to Hector later about changing that. But yes,
And
that will be it.
Yeah, he'll put his mattress down, and then he'll probably move his mattress onto the floor, and probably shift the actual bed frame slightly off, so that he's at least on the floor with Toxx, because he's a fair guy like that. He's.
I love the crudely drawn bed. It's actually drawn way better than it had any right to be.
After he sets up the after Freyr helps Toxx set up their beds, their Japanese floor mats. You'll walk over to where his camera would potentially be, and he would look deep inside of it and put his hands around it, kind of getting a zoom in on his face, where it's almost rounded. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
He was like, listen, itty bitty person in this camera, don't tell anyone that I suck at reading, please. I'm trusting you here. I'm trusting you with my fucking life. Itty bitty man in the camera. Or woman. He doesn't know.
Roby,
Small camera being.
roll me a persuasion to see if you can get this individual watching to not tell people. Oh no!
I can't catch a break.
You can't catch a break. Whoever's watching you on these is gonna tell everyone that you can't read.
Yeah, you know what? Freyr, he can rip my arms off limb from limb and eat my intestines like it's a midday snack. But you know what
I
he
can
can't do?
fucking read.
Yeah, you can't read a Dr. Seuss book. What a bitch!
It's great. Oh, that's fucking great. That's where we're gonna talk. I think I'm gonna leave Freyr and Toxx for the night because I don't think we can top that for a nice ending section.
Yeah, he just goes to they go to sleep. They have a good relaxing time.
The dust end.
But we will go and tie up the ends of 17 and Tucky. 17, you're now back in the room in the sense of you can see again the entire room, not just the visual feed of the individual known as Gideon. And you can see that Tucky moves around, looks at you and goes, alright, so I'm curious, which one was it? Was it quick or was it years?
It seemed to be relatively quick, only just a matter of moments.
Alright, well that's good. Some of the individuals like you that have went through the longer version say it can cause a lot of mental problems. They find it hard to adjust after it. So I'm glad that we are on the opposite side. Hopefully, she visibly crosses her fingers. Hopefully we'll never have to do it again, so we don't have to run that risk of it being different next time. Good news though, I've looked at your diagnostics and the virus, the fragmentation, it's gone. So we won't have to worry about that anymore. I mean, in the future we'll maybe do some checks on you a little bit more frequently, at least for the next couple of weeks, just to make sure that you're operating to peak efficiency. But as far as I can see, it's gone, which is good. I'm not reading anything out of the ordinary though when it comes to your cybertronic brainwaves. So there's nothing on there or any kind of softwares or strange new hardwares that show me a reason that you're able to taste. There's from a software and a hardware point of view, nothing shows that you should be able to taste food.
I honestly can't explain it either. I don't know how she knew that I could do it.
It's strange, but well, I've updated it on your system, so it's on your file notes that there is something going on about you that has meant that you have been able to experience taste. Maybe one of the higher up engineering staff will take a look at the notes after it's been saved, and maybe they'll come back to us and they'll present an answer. But for now, that all we can do is look for reasonings, keep an eye on it, and if anything changes, update it on your file.
Sounds good to me.
Well, alright, well, I won't keep you any longer. I'm sure you're probably in need of recharging after all that you've went through today. How did the arena thing go anyway? I wasn't able to sneak away like the rest of you. Did it go well?
It was interesting. He won his fight.
Well, that's good, at least.
It took him a while to find his motivation, but once he found it, That's pretty much all it took, and he seems to have come out of it a new person, and he seems to be a lot more focused as a result.
Roll me a perception check. Yeah, it's actually just enough. So you notice that as you say that, like, it's not super hard to read, but if you'd gotten really low, you wouldn't have noticed it. But you notice that there's like a bit of a smirk that appears on Tucky's face as you say that. Like, something about what you said has visibly made her happy.
She bet on Freyr, didn't she?
Well, I don't know, ask.
Did you? You weren't able to make it there. Did you? Were you able to? Are you someone who tends to by chance bet on them? I mean, I know that's a bit of a forward question.
The smile becomes larger and she gives out a little bit of a chuckle and she goes, no, nothing like that. I mean, trust me, I would have. If I could have actually gotten away from this place, I would have. I'd have probably put at least my next paycheck on the bear. I mean, have you seen him? He's big enough to take anything. So, but that's beside the point. No, it's just the it reminds me of someone in that manner of, taking a while to get there, but then springing their step, full of motivation when they get there. That's all.
Anybody that we know?
Roll me an insight check. You think maybe could be someone that you're aware of, but you're not quite sure. You notice that she's very smiley now, and after you ask that question, let me do a quick check on something. A moment.
Being all kinds of fucking nosy now.
Yeah, you are. Okay, let me do something in a second. She smiles and says, "Oh no, don't worry about it. It's just don't worry about it. Like I said, just reminds me of someone. That's all."
Okay. Real quick, was the arm replaced while I was under as well, or?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you no longer have the giant crab arm, I'm afraid, but you do have the sword arm.
Okay, just want to make sure.
So you can now draw your short sword. It was a short sword, wasn't it?
Yes.
You can now draw a short sword as a free action. So you don't need to do it as a you don't need to do it as the one draw per turn kind of deal. You can draw that as a free action. It is now the only way for you to have that weapon taken away from you is for your arm to be physically taken away. If you at any point
disarmed.
To be disarmed. If at any point you get a better short sword, all you need to do is speak to Taki, and Taki will be able to replace the sword in your arm with that short sword. It won't take nearly as long. Next time it will actually be like a quick pop it in, pop it out situation, because it's just the blade that's being changed. But you do now have a sword arm. So just pop that somewhere on your sheet so that you're aware of it. You have a sword arm. You can draw or sheath the weapon attached as a free action, and the only way it can be taken away from you is if you are disarmed.
Okay.
But yeah, that's
Disarmed.
yeah. Is there anything else you would like 17 to do? Taki is kind of busying herself as she goes back to the data link, but is considerably more smiley than she was before.
I would just tell her, thank you for working on the arm and giving me a thorough look over. I do really appreciate it. All these things that have been happening recently have been worrying me. So I do appreciate knowing that it's at least been looked at, and there's nothing, at least from what you can see, to be harmful in nature there.
She takes a moment. She's like, "Yeah, I'll keep an eye on it, and you get any more symptoms, any more strangeness, just let me know." And like I said, I'm hoping the fact that they're showing no trace of viruses or fragmentation, that means we've stopped it. The old turn them off and turn them back on again has worked, but just yeah, we'll try and keep an eye on it for the future. It's just you gotta understand that doing this, restarting your arcane core, it's not something we want to do. It's literally ending your life for a moment and turning you back on. We don't want to do that as engineers because you might not turn back on. There have been incidences where that's happened, and I may have put it off, but the reason I wanted to put it off wasn't because of you being too busy, but I didn't want to run that risk turning you off and you're not coming back on. I maybe should have been a bit more straightforward with that before, yes, but I don't want to run that risk.
Knowing that, I feel better, because there were thoughts that I was having that were leading me to think otherwise, and I did not want to think that way.
Well, it's just that you gotta be careful. I've worked with Awoken like yourself before, but it's still a field we don't know everything about. And now you're telling me that you can taste. I don't want to, cause something that can take that away from you, or worse.
Well, knowing that I now have this as well, I don't want to lose that either, because honestly, I as silly as it sounds, I want to taste everything.
It's not silly. You're like a child in that aspect. A child wants to try everything that it thinks looks yummy. Ice cream, strawberries, anything that looks appealing to it, they want to try. So, essentially, in that way, you are just like a child, and it's not a silly thing.
Sorry.
Hopefully, I will have the opportunity to do just that.
She gives you a nod and returns to checking her data analytics. She goes, go. You want to shut yourself down and try and get some recuperation time. I'll be in here doing what I do.
Thank you again, and I will make my way to my room.
Okie dokie. Well then, I think that's a good spot to end it there. We had a lot of really interesting stuff happened from today. A lot of more developments with what's going on between Freyr and Toxx, and also some developments over 17 and what's going on with now we know his name's Gideon.
Yep.
I will give one tiny little hint. Maybe there's a mention of someone with a very similar, if not the same name somewhere. And I'll just, I'll leave the recording with that.